friends, welcome back to the channel. Wow, it's been a long time since I've said that. I haven't filmed anything in like 2 weeks. So, of course, if you saw my last video at the end of April, then you will know that I started a new TBR game that I'm excited for, but you know, since we're shaking it up a little, woo, why don't we change the way we do wrap-ups? So currently, wrap-ups are, the first half are like stats and different things that I've read. And they also come out like a month late. So it is currently May 2nd? May 2nd, May 3rd, May 2nd. I don't know. But it's the beginning of May. And I'm going to be filming my April wrap-up. So instead of doing all the stats and everything like that, we're just going to jump right into the books that I read in the month of April, which was also my birthday month. How do I look for 30? Pretty good, right? Yeah, okay. I know, you're too much. Stop it. I think I want to start with the 4 books that I don't own physically, and we'll just go over those real quick. And then I think we're going to do it by genre, and I'm going to talk about every single book that I read in the month of April. It would have been really nice if I would have known what that number was. I read 19 books in the month of April. So we're going to talk about all 19. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my husband's computer. This is my husband's laptop. I left mine at work again because I'm awesome like that. So I'm going to start with The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell. This was an ebook that I was so kindly gifted from NetGalley. So here's something, my dirty little secret. Like, come here. You can't tell anyone. But NetGalley is like this website that gives you free titles, ebook titles, and sometimes audiobook titles, and you're supposed to review them. That's how they can afford to make the books free, because essentially you're going to read it and then review it for them. I have like 98 books on there, and your ratio is supposed to be 80%, so that if you find more books that you want, then you request it, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, this reviewer has 98% ratio of read to unread books, if that makes sense. And my ratio is only 22%. So I'm trying really hard to get that number up more. So I did read The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell for that prompt, or for NetGalley to kind of help me with that. Okay, so this is I don't think it's a young adult. I think it's an adult, but it read very much like a young adult. So it's this adult novel that is mystery based. But there's also a cooking show. So these like 5 contestants go to this manor to have this cooking contest, and the winner gets the golden spoon. And when they get there, crazy things start happening. to be quite honest with you, all the characters were unlikable, like super unlikable. I didn't care about any of them. It was very slow, very boring. I think I did end up giving it 2 stars because I liked the cooking portion. But I hated the characters. I liked the competition part. I already knew I would, but I really did not like this book at all. Then we have The Wedding Setup, which was another one that I got on ebook from NetGalley, and decided, hey, it's actually on Audible, and it's like 3 hours, so I can knock that out in one afternoon, and I did. It was cute. I think I gave it 3 stars. Like, it was fine. It was just a little novella about this woman that goes to her best friend's wedding, and at the wedding, her mom tells her that she has set her up on this date, and her ex-boyfriend get locked in the wine cellar together, and yeah, that's it. That's all I can tell you. But, like, it was fine. It was cute. The characters were nice. And it was a cute little novella just to kind of as a palate cleanser because the stack right here, 2, 4, 6, I have 8 thrillers that I read in the month of April that we have to talk about. The first book I read in April was Offsides by Sawyer Bennett. This was the first in a romance series. I believe it was young adult, and I really didn't enjoy this. So I have since taken this entire series off of my TBR and just like thrown it away. I didn't own it physically. I owned it on ebook, but it's no longer on my TBR. And the last one was Shawshank Redemption by Stephen King, and this one was fine. I think I gave it 2 or 3 stars. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's just, it felt more like a bunch of short stories, and it felt more like a character study. And I don't like character studies. But it is part of the series that I think I would have enjoyed this book more if I would have been more familiar with the series. So I'm just calling it a wash. Those are all the books that I don't own. So now we're moving on to these books. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 stacks. The first book that we're going to talk about is the nonfiction that I read in April. I don't rate nonfiction because I don't feel like it's my place to tell you if your story is worth my time. And that's pretty much what I feel like you're doing when you rate a nonfiction. If I did rate nonfiction, this would forever be a favorite of mine. I don't rate it, but it's still going to go in my favorites collection. And that is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh, this is not for the faint of hearts. This is so emotionally draining. It's haunting and it's beautiful. And you probably have already heard of it and you probably know exactly what it is. So you follow Emily Doe, as she is known. Her real name is Chanel Miller, but for 4 long years of her life, after Chanel Miller was attacked at this college party, she went through the court systems to get her rapist on trial for raping her. And you slowly, like, at first, she just wakes up in the hospital and she doesn't know what's going on, and slowly, piece by piece, memory by memory, she starts to remember. And, you know, some of it is things that her sister and her friends told her and things like that. But this book, Know My Name, talks so much about how it's not just that one night. And I know that sounds so incredibly insensitive, but it's not that one night that wrecks your life. It's not always the rape itself, but everything that goes in after. Like, he is on trial, but yet the defense attorney and the DA, yeah, that's defense attorney, duh. The DA is going to question every single choice that you made that night. Why'd you only eat one taco for dinner? Why'd you have so many drinks? Why? Because in these cases, it's always the victim. The victim always gets shamed for one thing or another. And this talks a lot about the Me Too movement. And you know what? I'm going to go there. About a president that was in power not that long ago. And the day that he got signed into power, and how he was caught saying some very sexist, very atrocious things about women. But he's the president, so people don't care. And because he's a man, so he can do whatever he wants. And it talks about how women are constantly catcalled and even followed because a man doesn't want to take no for an answer. This book stays with you. I would definitely check the trigger warnings for everything, because there's a lot of trigger warnings in here. And it was heartbreaking and beautiful and just perfection. I don't know why these two are in the same pile. Technically, they shouldn't be, because one's a middle grade and one is the only romance I read last month. So first, there's A Jigsaw Jones Mystery, The Case of the Mummy Mystery by James Preller. This was a really cute middle grade. It's like 73 pages and the font is really big. But it's like a Halloween type mystery, and it's quirky and funny, and I thought it was cute. I think I gave it 3 stars because it's not really my thing anymore. I don't love middle grade books, but I'm trying to read as many as I can off my shelf so that I know that they're safe for 8-year-olds. Because I'm a 2nd grade teacher and I don't want to put anything in my classroom that is going to be questioned or that is not appropriate. This is fine, and I figured it would be, but because I've never read it, I wanted to be sure. But it was cute. Then I have Love at First Like by Hannah Ornstein. How far would you go to fake the perfect life? So I thought it would be really cute because it has like this woman who, Eliza, and her sister own this jewelry company, and Eliza got really hammered one night after her boyfriend dumped her, I think. Well, she had a really bad day, and she tried on this really nice engagement ring. She took a picture of it, and she posted it on Instagram. usually what she does is she takes the picture and then she makes the Instagram picture and then deletes it. She was drunk, so she accidentally posted it. And then because she's a jewelry company and things like that, people start giving her free wedding dresses, free wedding ceremony, free all this stuff. And the problem is that she doesn't have a groom. So then she goes on the search for a groom to marry within 6 months. And like, it was also fake to me. And like, I didn't like Eliza because I thought she was a liar and a phony. And I just hated how all too convenient everything ended up being for her when she's not true. She's not real. And like, I just did not get this one at all. Okay, so I read this because I was thinking, oh, Hannah Ornstein is either for me or she's not. Because before I read this, I had read 2 books from her, and one I absolutely loved, one I hated, and this one can go to the hate pile. So I don't think I'll be reading anything more from Hannah Ornstein. But I was going to say I had fun with this. I did not. I didn't like it at all. Don't recommend it. Okay, and then we have one horror novel, which this is by far the scariest horror novel I've ever read. And it's not like jump scare scary. It's like emotional, get in your mind kind of scary. Because if you didn't know, hi, I'm Alita. I'm an emotional, get in your mind kind of person. And this book is We Spread by Ian Reid. In this, you follow Penny, who at the beginning of the book, Penny falls and she can't get up. And her landlord finds her and says that she has to go to the retirement village that her and her husband had picked out many years ago. And she's like, but my husband's dead. And he's like, I know, but we had this all planned out. Let me take you there. So he takes her to this retirement village that is just so perfect. It's like almost so perfect that it's eerie. And Penny starts slowly losing her memories and slowly losing her mind. And she just can't handle anything on her own anymore. And you kind of wonder, is Penny getting older and she's just like losing her functioning as she's getting older, because that happens? Or is there something sinister at play at this retirement village that seems just a little too perfect? And this book was perfection. It touched on a lot of topics that are truly scary for a lot of people. This was such a good book. I highly recommend We Spread by Ian Reid. Then these are my thrillers that I read. I guess I was in a thriller mood. I'm going to try and take my thumbnail and then we can talk about these. So the first thriller on this list is The Replacement Wife by Darby Kane. Also the author of Pretty Little Wife, which is one of my favorites. This one is definitely super slow burn. So you follow this woman named Eliza, who is low-key investigating her brother-in-law because her brother-in-law's fiance has gone missing. Her brother-in-law's wife has been found dead. So now he is dating someone new, and she is convinced that her brother-in-law, what's his name? Josh. She's convinced that Josh is behind the two missing girls' disappearances. She thinks that he killed both of them. So she's trying to save this new girl from being his next victim. But she's also super unreliable because she takes a lot of medication and she has like blackouts. I enjoyed this thriller a lot though. It's very slow burn and it might be more of like a mystery, but once it all comes together, it was worth the ride for this one. So I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. Then we have Reconstructing Amelia by Kimberly McCree. This follows Kate, who is a lawyer at this law firm. And she gets a call from her daughter's prep school, saying your daughter was caught cheating, come pick her up. So when Kate gets there, Amelia is dead. And you are trying to figure out if Amelia killed herself like the school is claiming, or if something darker happened. I didn't love this one as much. I gave it 3 stars, so it was perfectly fine. But Amelia's chapters felt very juvenile and very young adult. So for 60% of this book, I felt like it was a young adult novel disguising itself as an adult thriller. But some of the things that Kimberly McCree talks about in this novel is really wholesome and like hits me in the heart. So it is more of an emotional roller coaster of a book. And I mean, think if you're like a parent, if you're a mom specifically, and your child was killed while they were at school where you thought they would be safe, where you thought there was many people there to protect them, but you think someone murdered her at that school, or she committed suicide and no one was there. I mean, I know things happen, but like this was an emotionally draining book. So usually I don't keep 3-star books on my shelf, but I feel like this is going to be a really good teaching tool. I will not use it with my 2nd graders, but someday when I'm a mom and I want to talk about things that like maybe teenage girls don't really want to tell their mother. Like, I was definitely that teenage girl. Me and my mom, so close. But I was getting bullied. And I had a lot of things going on that I didn't want to burden my mom with. And so that felt very real and very raw to me. I felt like very connected and very seen with Amelia. But this was a slower book. And I just feel like this is going to discuss some really great things that someday I might be able to use in a different way. So I will be keeping this. Even though it's not like a favorite of all time favorite, I definitely think it's worth giving it a shot and reading this because it touched me in so many ways that like a thriller usually doesn't hit me right in the heart, but this one definitely did. Okay, and then we have We Were Never Here by Andrea Bartz. This was actually really good. I gave it 4 stars. I'm not going to really tell you too much about it. I'm just going to read this little blurb for you and let you judge as you will. A backpacking trip has deadly consequences in this chilling new novel from Andrea Bartz. Emily is having the time of her life. She's in the mountains of Chile with her best friend Kristen on their annual reunion trip. And the women are feeling closer than ever, but on the last night of the trip, Emily enters their hotel suite to find blood and broken glass on the floor. Kristen says that the cute backpacker she brought to their room attacked her and she had no choice but to kill him. And this kind of investigates, it's after the trip, and it kind of investigates, well, what really happened that night because I wasn't in the hotel. And you kind of get all these puzzle pieces until it finally comes together to show you what really happened, and my mind was blown. This was such a fun vacation thriller. Do check the trigger warnings though, because this one also has a lot to do with rape and like blaming the victim when someone tries to rape you and you murder him. So it was really hard to read at times, but it's a short read and it was really worth it. Then for April's book of the month, I picked The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda, and I did not like it. I guess I technically DNF'd it because at like 100 pages left in this book, I was so bored that I just skimmed. And then I went and read spoilers to figure out how it ended. This was a waste of my time. And I'm so sorry, Amanda. I know that you loved this. But we kind of like low-key buddy read it-ish, but I hated it. So you follow, it says 7 hours in the past, 7 days in the present, 7 survivors remaining. Who would you save? I just thought the whole ending was really BS. Maybe it's because I'm a teacher, but I don't know. It's such a BS ending. If you've read it, then you know. But I'm not going to spoil it for you. I just hated everything about this, which is so sad because Megan Miranda is always a solid 3.5, 4-star read for me. Her last book was a 5-star for me. So I had high hopes for this. I hated it. I will be unhauling it and selling it on Pango. Then I had this blind date with the book. I actually had 2 of them, but one of them was the 2nd or 3rd in a series, and that's not right of you to do in a blind date with a book, so I unhauled that. But the blind date with a book, like, after I took it home and read it, I read the, like, mystery date thing, the package of the book. I was like, oh, you know what? This kind of sounds like Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and it's actually a paperback version of this one. This one I've owned for a long time. But I let my friend borrow Lock Every Door, and then I left it at school. Whoops. But it was Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, which is a book that I've read before. It was a reread. It's 5 stars. It's haunted house-esque. You follow Jules, who goes to this apartment complex in New York, who's looking for a house sitter. And it almost seems too good to be true, because if you stay at the house for 3 months, stay at the apartment for 3 months, I think she will get $4,000. And yeah, then she finds out residents are starting to go missing, and she's nosy, so of course she has to go investigate and gets herself into a lot of trouble. But I love Riley Sager, so yeah. This is Everything We Didn't Say by Nicole Bart. And all I said was, first off, this is not a thriller. This is a boring family drama in which nothing happens. Okay, this is another thriller. And to be honest with you, it's not very memorable. I gave it 2 stars, I think. But Juniper Baker left 19 years ago. Well, no, she was 19 when she left, which was like 10 years ago. And now she's back in her Colorado hometown. And she's there to help a friend. And dumb stuff starts happening. I really don't remember anything about this novel. And I just read it a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to say I didn't like it. I can vaguely remember reading about Juniper, but she obviously wasn't important for me. So I'm going to be unhauling this one too. Okay, this one's going to hurt some people. So if you're easily offended, bye. It was nice seeing you. I mean, I'm being serious. I read Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. This is a thriller about a black father, a white father, 2 dead sons, and a quest for revenge. So these 2 guys are the dads of these 2, I think it was Derek and who's Ike? No, Ike is the Isaiah and Derek. And they were gay and in love. They got married. They had a child together. And they were murdered in cold blood because they're gay and one of them is black. And that's kind of what the whole premise of the book is, that these guys that did not approve of their sons, did not really treat them very well when they were alive, are like, well, now that they're gone, I'm gonna be a good father and go figure out what happened to my son. Yeah, you want to come with me? And so on their quest for revenge, there's a lot of violence, a lot of blood, a lot of gore. And to be honest, I mean, it probably makes me sound like a monster, but to be honest, I felt like maybe it was a little too late, too little too late type of situation. Like, you didn't want to be a part of their lives when they were here, so what gives you the right to be this angry that they're not around anymore? And I don't know, that's probably my bias, and I know, it's probably, whatever. It's whatever. But since I didn't really connect with it, I didn't really love this. I think I gave it 2 stars. So we're going to end on the most surprising note of all. This is another, I mean, it's labeled a thriller, but I would say it's more of a literary fiction with horror elements. Any guesses? It came out in 2021, I think, if that helps. couple years old. I have once tried to read this book and I DNF'd it. So it would be weird that a previously DNF'd book is now a 5-star read. So this is The Push by Ashley Audrain, and I know it's labeled as a thriller, but I don't think it's a thriller. You follow this mother, Blythe, who is convinced that her daughter is an evil genius. My prediction going into this book is that Blythe has a case of postpartum depression, but it's more than what you think it is. I mean, it's a lot of mental anguish, and it talks about the taxingness of having to be a mom and be on point all the time, and having to have it together even when you don't, or even when you don't want to. And it talks about, like, so Blythe thinks that her daughter is evil, but her husband, Fox, yes, that's his real name, is Fox. He thinks that Violet, their daughter, is fine and that there's something wrong with Blythe. And slowly but surely, this whole mental anguish is really starting to wreck their marriage. And things are starting to go wrong that shouldn't. And then the last line of this book, like, I obviously can't tell you, but oh my gosh, it made me rethink the whole thing that I just read. I almost immediately picked it up and started reading it from the very beginning again. Loved everything about this book. It's very mundane, day-to-day life. It's very slow burn. And it really gets into your mind. So what I found is that I love books that are very slow and mundane, and you kind of just watch people spiral from a distance, and you question everything about your mortality. Yeah, you do. And absolutely recommend both these books, but The Push, whole nother level. I mean, so is We Spread, though. Yeah, these were by far my top 2 books of the month of April. And I read The Push on my birthday when I turned 30, so that was cool. I will be unhauling these 4 books, and they will be up on Pango, so if you're interested, go check them out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It feels nice to be back and be filming. Like I said, it's been a couple weeks. Part of the reason was because I got really sick for like a week and a half. And then I kind of was... I've been contemplating life decisions. Contemplating? I don't think that's the right word. I've just been thinking about some of my life decisions, and I've been kind of in a bizarre headspace, like not a really good one, if I'm being honest with you. But my husband made me talk my feelings out. I know, how rude. Anyways, thank you for hanging out with me. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I will see you in the next video.